Good morning. My name is Reverend Kutlik. I work with Unity Europe. And I'm making this video because this morning I realized that I have been so busy with building Unity Europe for, I don't know, years now, I think, that I completely neglected my own practice. As a mentor and aid support, I always find it challenging to use the appropriate terminology, whether I belong to the category of a coach or a mentor or having been ordained as Unity minister, becoming a pastor in a way makes it even more difficult for me to define what I do, what I support people with. So I decided to talk about what I offer in terms of practicalities and maybe a process. Very often I find that people in the helping profession can offer services that belongs to them, so to speak, partly where we are at in our life, partly our education, naturally, and partly our own personal experiences. And I like that today we in the helping profession started to specialize. We maybe a decade ago, most of the coaches were called either a business coach or a life coach, and that both of them are quite big areas. So we started to specialize, and it's really nice to see that our specialization is now very much about who we are, what it is that we can truly offer through our experiences and an education. So this morning I was thinking about what it is that I can offer. Who is it that I am? What I can offer is supporting you from the consciousness of bitterness to the consciousness of gratitude. And this is my own journey. In Unity, there is something we call wholeness. When we return to our wholeness, we become whole again. We become somebody who is contented, who loves life, somebody who sees the beauty and the good in life, who looks in the mirror and sees somebody beautiful. We feel connected to ourselves, in our entirety, and connected to others in a loving manner, and we are connected to the greatness, the loving presence that I call God all the time in our life. And this is what enables this wholeness. We have integrated every single bit of ourself, including our God self or our spirit, into our daily existence. And it can be practical. The starting point I call bitterness, though I am not focusing on bitterness in terms of being just angry, but everything that can be, that we call kind of negative. being angry, frustrated. As I mentioned earlier, I look at my job as a pastor or as a mentor to support you from a sense of, or a consciousness of bitterness to the consciousness of gratitude or wholeness. And in my experience, the first step is self-awareness. Self-awareness is about a lot of things. Self-awareness is about looking at denial, our misconceptions of ourselves, our anger, our pain, our discontentment, frustration, that is very often directed into the world because we cannot deal with them in ourselves. But self-awareness also means looking at our strength, our beauty, our uniqueness that lies very often under something I call bitterness, all the frustration, the anger with the world, with our spouse, with our children, with the neighbor, that is all within. And as we discover all that, we also discover all that is unique and beautiful ourselves. But this is only the first step. The second step, in my experience, is forgiveness. Forgiveness and letting go. As we walk the journey of self-discovery, self-awareness, awareness in general, we start becoming aware of events, challenges that were not particularly positive, though we can become aware of positive events as well. We very often discover painful situations, and in order to become whole again, we need to embrace them, and forgiveness helps us do that. We really need to come to terms with what happened in our lives, and in my experience, not only with my own personal experiences, but sometimes of my loved ones, because sometimes our loved ones, even though they don't want to do that consciously, they pass down some of their own pain and anguish. So part of that forgiveness process is embracing all of that and becoming okay with what happened. By doing that, I noticed in my own life that as I was walking the journey of self-awareness and forgiveness and letting go of my frustration and anger or the pain around what happened in the past, I started to become aware of the greater picture. So the next step of this process is starting to see myself as part of a greater tapestry, start becoming aware of all the different life experiences being a puzzle in a greater picture. And I started to see that puzzle pieces, how they move into something or someone as I am in my own complexity and simplicity and the beauty of this unique person I am. And the next step is gratitude. As I started to see the greater picture of my life with all the twists and turns and challenges and super nice moments, the journey, I started to become grateful. And I started to focus on being grateful. So every time something happens that maybe difficult to experience or I find frustrating, I move into forgiveness, letting go, and then gratitude, because I really want to see the positive side of what's happening, what it is that it's teaching me, what is it that it's teaching us, and how I can contribute in moving my consciousness constantly from a sense of bitterness or frustration to wholeness, back into the loving. And kind of automatically, as I more and more move into gratitude, I start becoming present, I start becoming more loving. I keep my focus on the greater picture, looking for the good. And this process that I just explained, it's constant, it's daily, it's in every moment, in a way. So if you're interested, this is what I can support you with, to move from bitterness, frustration, discontentment, to a sense of wholeness. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.